Today on Q&J, stuff will happen. I promise. Q and J. Hey everyone, welcome to Q&J. As always, my name is Jay, and it's time to J some Q's. Now, as you can tell, the lighting is slightly different. I'm trying out a lighting kit that I recently acquired, and it's pretty cool. And I can see the reflection in my eyes, and I think it makes me look more magical. But it's pretty cool. I think it's much more bright. You can see me clearly. Behind me is a little darker, but it's okay, because it's here, you know? So it's cool. So today we will be Jing some Q's. And yes, now there were some comments that were made this week that some people didn't like what I said last week, but we'll talk about that after. It's all good. So Scardcast starts it off by saying, "I'm liking these Q&Js. I shall send you the info as soon as I have it." Excellent. I hope you do, Scardcast. I want it. This is for the Barry event in, you said, October or November. Very cool stuff. What is your nemesis list for each of your armies that you own? I'm sorry, I don't know. I've been reading this and I've been trying to research what is a nemesis list. As in, what is the I don't really know. Are you talking about, like, what is the bane of my existence? Because if I'm playing Orks, for example, the bane of my existence would be flyers. Orks aren't particularly good at flyers. For my Dark Angels, it's Eldar. Pretty much any Eldar, because I played Deathwing, and Deathwing's bane is Eldar. Or Tau. Grey Knights. Any really heavy shooting army with AP, so Eldar, you know. That's pretty much it, you know. Yeah. So, if you could clarify, Scardcast, what do you mean by nemesis list? I'll answer it in next week's video for sure. And I'm excited. This is good stuff. So, yep, thank you very much for your comment, and I'm looking forward to this tournament event in Barry, the new VR. The Lad's Lounge says, "Really appreciate the answers, Jay. Yes, I think 6 Thunderwolf Cavalry with Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields is the call then. Yes, because pretty much nothing will, like, that will just mow down your opponent. You may lose some friends. You may lose some friends, but if that is a solid choice, especially the new Space Wolves Codex. I really think it's a solid choice, and yeah, so I think it's a great choice. Toughness 5, Strength 10, 2 wound, 5 attacks on the charge models would be great, but it is 510 points for one squad. LOL. See you in UK next year. Then it's a date. LOL. Would you check my bat rep and give me some pointers too? Sure, I'll definitely give it a check out in the near future and send you some comments. I want to do more, but it's hard with the lighting in the club and the people arguing and shouting." Yeah, I had the same problem when I filmed at Black Knight Games in Hamilton. The lighting was never optimal, and I had to censor a lot of background swearing. The Magic card players, they swore a lot. Yeah. And then people are saying that you might lose some friends, but it's pretty funny there. CMD, the Dark Guard, says, "Hey Jay, big fan. Thank you very much. I'd love to play you if you ever come to GB, Great Britain. Keep up the good work. I was just wondering if you would be able to help give me some advice on a competitive Imperial Guard army on 1650 points. I'd like to use 1 Imperial Knight and some Psychers to buff up the Walker, but I'd like to know something to help hit hard and add survivability to an army. I was thinking of adding in a scratch-built Void Generator to give 3 Void Shields, but I'm not sure what else to do. Any advice would be legendary. Thank you very much." Yes, if you saw a battle report with, there was an old battle report for the 40k League where someone brought a Titan and a Void Shield Generator, it'll mop up your opponent. That will definitely add some survivability. Void Shield Generators are amazing. But as far as your list goes, I think it would have to depend on the thing is about Imperial Guard is Imperial Guard are fantastic, or Astra Militarum, are fantastic at catering to what the meta is in your area. So it would depend on what theirs. You know, if you need flyers, let's grab the codex here for a second. So obviously I would recommend for your list, I really like, to me, the most competitive great HQ choice for its cost is a company command squad, because it gives you tons of flexibility And you can just include a lot of stuff in it, and it's a great command squad. It's 60 points. Now, obviously with a Void Shield Generator and and an Imperial Knight, you're really looking at like a 1,300 point list, or 1,200 point list essentially, because you know the rest of the points are filled with the other two. I would definitely take a company command squad, and if possible, I would add an Astropath, because Astropaths, again, Psyker Mastery level 1. You want to if you want to have Psykers, bring Astropaths, and definitely include like a Lasgun. I don't know if you want to include a heavy weapons part of it. Lasgun, great choice. Or not Lasgun, Las Cannon. Great stuff. And take a Chimera. A Chimera will add some survivability to your company command squad, because tanks in 7th edition, harder to pop, which is good. If you really want, like, someone bring like Yarick, he's pretty nasty. But yeah, for an HQs, to me, the company command squad is just a great, solid choice. And as far as troops go, I still really love Melta and Plasma Vets. Veteran squads with Meltas are so nasty. Stick them in a Chimera as well. You'll get them to where they need to go. They pop out and they will just melt anything in sight. You know, 2 or 3 squads of them. Wow, a lot of deathness will come. You know, you're gonna just mow down your opponent. Like, that's, to me, that's where Imperial Guard really shine. And then the next thing I'd recommend, you could take, oh sorry, you got to take Psykers, as you mentioned. So Psykers, definitely take 3 Primera Psykers, because they don't take up a Force Organization chart. Upgrade them to level 2. Definitely upgrade them to level 2. Because if you're taking an Astropath, and you're taking 3 level 2 Primera Psykers, and they're only like 75 points each for a level 2 Psyker, that's 7 psychic points for your dice. So that instantly adds some, you know, Deny the Witch power in case you run up against a psychic heavy list. But that's also 7 more dice that you get to roll on your psychic powers. And I really love the Primera Psykers because they can take Divination or Biomancy. I still think Divination is a great matchup with Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum. And what else? The Elites. The Elites are kind of, to me, are like, you know, to me, Imperial Guard, the Elite section, I love the troops. The Vets make the army, the HQs make the army, Primera Psykers, and then heavy support. This is the key part, is I don't know your local meta. What is your local meta, and tune your heavy support towards it. Now, I really love the Wyvern batteries because they are just better versions of what's that called? Whirlwinds. You know, they are awesome. They have the Storm Shard cannons that just deny cover, and they're nasty. And they're really cheap, 65 points each. So maybe a squad of 3 of them, that'd be pretty competitive against some true heavy lists. If you run against Orks, Eldar, Tau, behind an Aegis defense line, if you run up against Tyranids, you're going to be in good shape. And then the rest of the slots, for heavy, I would tune to your local meta. So if you need, for example, if you know that a lot of heavy support will, not heavy support, a lot of flyers will be coming in, Manticores, you know, or death strikes, depending on what you want to do, or Hydras. You know, up to you if you want to take whatever you want to take. Because Hydra battery would be really nasty. Let's look up this stuff. This is fun. I really love looking at armies that I don't collect. Because, yeah, I would totally collect I really would love to collect the Master Militarum. They're just an expensive army. So it's up to you. I think Hydras, you know, Manticores or Death Strikes, whatever your local meta is. Or you just take a Leman Russ squadron. That's always a great choice. So that's the thing. I'd recommend fine-tuning your heavy support towards your local meta. Because this is, to me, where Astra Militarum really shines. And these tanks, you can bring any one of these choices. You can bring a squad of 3 of them. And that's just... oh, sorry, not a Death Strike. But you can bring, you know, up to 3 Hydras, up to 3 Manticores, up to 3 Wyverns, up to 3 Basilisks, or up to 3 Leman Russes. So cater. You know your local meta better than I would, and I'd recommend tuning the heavy support accordingly. So I hope that's your suggestions. Now, obviously, people out there, if you have any other suggestions on, you know, what CMD the Dark Guard should do, leave it in the comment section down below. But that's just my 2 cents on it. Jonathan Dodds. Hi Jay, greetings from the UK. Greetings. I think the idea of coming to UK, Britain, would be sound. I agree. Quick question, whereabouts in the UK would you be interested in visiting? Well, obviously I do like tourism spots, but basically I would love to go to Forge World. I would love to go to Warhammer World. Yeah. You know, the big areas of Britain. It'd be awesome if it was during a con, for example. Maybe I should time it around a convention. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I really should go. I'll see what I can do. Maybe I should just keep up my air mile points and see if I can get there. Because that'd be really cool. I would love to go to Britain. And I'd vlog the whole thing and have a great time and meet y'all. That's the thing. That's what I love about going to conventions. I've been obsessed with conventions lately. Because conventions allow me to go places to meet people. And you know, a lot of people, especially the Americans, they can't come to Canada a lot. So if I go to Chicago or if I go to Indianapolis, it increases the chances of me meeting these people, and I get to meet them, and we get to have conversations, and it's awesome. I like meeting people, and that's what it's about. So if I go to Britain, I'll definitely talk about it ahead of time, and I'll let people know. We'd have fun. Cheers, keep up the good content. Thank you. Lord Rahl says, hi Jay, I'm an Eldar player, but I don't like shooting, and I've come up with 2 different approaches to using them. And I want to know which one would you find more fun to play against. Okay. The first is an Assault Eldar list with a Mantark and Banshees with a Farseer and a Wave Serpent as a turn 1 distraction to get Storm Guardians and Warwalkers across the table, and turn 3 have their army shut down with Assault. The second is an Eldar army designed from Maelstrom War Mission. Okay. It has lots of troops and high durability, but little ranged fire, as I try not to kill as many enemy units as possible. Which one seems more fun? Second one. Yeah. I think the second one sounds more fun, but they both could be good. I really do regret last week talking about that one comment that somebody was talking about a good matchup of Astra Militarum, and I said don't play Eldar. And I do regret it. What I meant, I think you guys know what I meant, that I was just saying that a general Eldar list will be very strong against a general Astra Militarum list. That being said, I should never discourage a player, especially a new player, from not playing an army because people find it, you know, overpowered. That is not, I know, I'm sorry about that. But that'd be pretty cool too. Another option for a close combat army, which you may want to include, are Wraithblades. Wraithblades are quite fun. You stick a wall of Wraithblades, and then you put the Banshees or the Harlequins behind it. It actually has some great survivability to it. And it's just kind of fun, because then your opponent has to shoot down Wraithblades. And JS says, have you ever considered Dark Eldar? They have a good variety of assault choices, and don't fall under the sit and shoot banner you are trying to avoid. Good comment, JS. That said, if I knew I was being paired with an Eldar player and knew nothing else, I would be very surprised to go against the list you mentioned, and would certainly need a strategy swap after. Yeah. That's it, because usually when you see Eldar, you think of high maneuverability, high shooting power, and you would have the opposite. So I think it'd be fun either way. I have fun whenever I play against Eldar. It's just sometimes an uphill battle if you're playing like your Orks against Eldar. It's going to be interesting. Dominic Favre says, hi Jay, a suggestion for the person trying to shade white and didn't want to use Agrax or non-oil. Both of these can be thinned out using the Lamian medium. That's true, it's just a normal medium. Very good point, Dominic Favre. This should make easier to control how dark it gets. Of course, creating your own custom gray shade might get a better result. Personally, I would try either and compare the results. Very good point. Do you write more? Oh, a quick follow-up on the ads. One at the beginning, one in the middle, and one at the end doesn't strike me as too many. The key is to me is the length of a video. The shorter the videos, the fewer the ads. Exactly. Great suggestion. You know, I noticed that. Basically, leading up to the question, I had a discussion with the WGC, the Wargamers Consortium, and we were discussing how many of the battle reports these days have a lot of ads. And since these are the big guys, I was kind of curious as to whether or not the fans minded, because they are still the big guys. So, I don't know. It's just interesting. Kevin Shelley says, "Hi Jay. For the guy from Vermont, I'm also from Vermont. You guys should talk. I played Dark Angels, and I'm working on Acadian Armored Cavalry Regiment." Okay. Lots of troops in vehicles and tanks. Cool. I like Acadians. I'd also say that you should add Necrons to the list of armies that to not have her start, as they will most likely be getting a new codex before too long, and they will steamroll guard with all of their Gauss weaponry glancing vehicles to death. That is true. And that's actually a solid reason to not start an army at the moment, is codex creep. You know, especially with new people that are new to the game, it's very frustrating. I started back in 5th edition, just before the reign of Nidzilla ended. So I learned all the rules for Tyranids, and then I quickly had to change my mind because 5th edition codex came out. And it's just frustrating. And I agree. It's just, I think Necrons are on the list coming up, and I have the feeling they're going to do some wild things with the codex. It's a Matt Ward codex, I'm pretty sure. And if that's true, it'll probably be up on their list. What I do find is that quickly after a writer leaves the company, GW tries to replace their books. That way they don't need to pay them anymore, something like that. It's just, I've noticed that. The Spawn 117. Note, I apologize for this, Jay, but something has to be said about you playing the Heresy. That is Storm of Vengeance. Alright. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just saw the name and I downloaded it. It was like $2. So I decided to download it because it had 40k in it. I didn't know about the game and I want to play it because I will play any game and have a good time. But apparently when I put out the Let's Play with Jay Storm of Vengeance, it was the most negative response I've pretty much ever gotten from a video. Apparently Storm of Vengeance is not good and people do not like it. So that was really funny. So this week I put out a War Machine Tactics Let's Play with Jay. Here's the Storm. I'm sorry, but it has to be done, and in the name of the Emperor, I will do it. So again, I apologize for this. Also, this is not a threat, so don't worry. Jay, and this is in capitals, Jay, why in the Emperor's name would you play the Heresy that is Storm of Vengeance? In the Emperor's name, that game is nothing but heresy, and those who play that game are considered heretics. Uh-oh. Oh, it's longer. So why, Jay, why would you disgrace the light of the Emperor? And now you will serve a penitence by watching Total Biscuits rant on that game to test your loyalty to the Emperor. If you come back still loyal, then we will drop the charges on you. But if you come back still thinking the game is fine, then you will suffer much worse than anyone could ever imagine. Your penitence starts now. Again, I apologize for this, but it was the Warhammer 40k community that made the decision. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep playing it a little bit because I want to beat the game. It'd be good for like an iPad game. Eh. What can I say? People just don't like that game. Lewis James says, hi Jay. On page 96 on the Ork Codex, it says that the Death Storm Mega Shooter is Strength 6, AP 4. But then in the reference section, it says it's Strength 5, AP 5. Which rule should I follow? I doubt it's just my codex that's wrong. Interesting find. Let's find this. Got my Ork Codex right here. Page 96. Let's check this out. Death Storm? Oh, sorry, what were you talking about? The Death Storm Mega Shooter. Strength 6, 8 before, heavy 3d6. Weapons. You're right. Interesting. Good point. I never even find that. Good find. An error in the codex. I would personally go with the one on page 96. Not because it's better, because it's most likely to be the one that is correct. You know, the reference section at the end is just a reference, a quick reference. I would trust it in the book first. And, like, this is the book, right? The reference is just a quick thing at the end. I think in the book would be correct until proven otherwise. Not because it's better. If it was the weaker one, I would still argue the one that's on page 96 over the one that's in the reference sheet. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then Sneaky Git says, Strength 6 AP4 is the correct one. GW already has an FAQ that clarifies it. Thank you very much for that. As I said, I usually would go with the one that's in the book over the one that's in the quick reference. They're good. They're good. About how to play Uriel. I play Biletan, Eldar. Okay, makes sense. The Swords in the Wind. And love to assault. I don't use Wave Serpents. No Wraith Knights and no Wave Warp Spiders. No, because you're going themed. Because, in my eyes, they are broken and require no strategy to win. Yeah, I can see your point. Just put as many of those as you can in your list and auto-win. So, I have thought a lot about Eldar alternatives. As Eldar, you do the hell of a lot damage, but you are fragile. If you get to the assault, you can abuse your high initiative. That's true. To make an Eldar assault unit work, you need to include at least 3 assault units and make your opponent really worry about them. Exactly, you've got to give him target priority. You know, if you give him a bunch of units, he can't deal with all of them. If you give him 1 assault unit, they can pick them off in time. But if you give him multiples and some other scary things, target priority will be your friend and it will help you get into assault. Sorry, back to your thing. To worry about those, better 5 assault units and some big squads of Wind Riders, who can capture any safe objectives in your empty deployment zone or beat most of your enemy objective secured troops with the Rending and Hammer Wrath. That's true. To use Uriel, I would do the following list. Whoa. Yeah, I won't be able to read all of your comments, but he says Uriel plus 10 Wraithblades, which is a great combination. With axes, enemy and Spirit Seer, they are slow. I'm going to have to end it after this one because it's a... They're good. That was the most in-depth response I've ever seen in a video, and I thank you so much. So everyone, if you want to see his response, check out the comment section of this video. It's like an essay. He put in so much effort. Yes, I couldn't do it justice by reading it, but it's also going to take me like 15 minutes to read. So, but thank you so much for your comment. And he lays out all of the units that you take, and it's for a 1,500 point list. So he gives tons of input. It's like a perfect video for an Eldar list building video. It's perfect. So thank you so much. They're good. I don't mean to minimize your comment. Definitely go check it out. I just don't have time to read the whole thing in this video. It would take up the whole video. Nurgle's Grin says, "Hi Jay, I'm starting out a Grey Knights army." That's good. And all are still in a box bit so far. I have 3 times 10 men and 1 times 5 Grey Knights, 2 times 5 man Terminators, 2 Razorbacks, a Land Raider, a Dreadnought, a Dread Knight, and I'm going to get a Librarian or 2. I'd recommend getting 2 Librarians. Well, then again, 1 Librarian for sure, and 2 if you're going multiple groups or something. I have a couple questions. I want an all-around army, so how would you outfit the 35 Grey Knights? Would you make them all strike squads, or break them up, or how would you equip them? So you have 35 Grey Knights. Yes, I would take at least 20 of them as strike squads. At least 20. Now, if you don't like running... You have Terminators. You have 2 times 5 man Terminators. If you don't want to run them as Paladins, you could take Purifiers. And Purifiers are still a decent choice, providing you don't move them. Side Cannons are the way to... I still think Side Cannons or Silencers are the way to equip them. Your other option, which I'm kind of thinking about this right now, the efficiency of this is to bring in a small squad of jump infantry, and then have them shunt turn 1 and then flame your opponent. It might be a good tactic, but with the small squads, and if you want to bring if you ever want to bring a flyer, you know they only have 2. If you want to take up the normal force organization chart for Grey Knights, you only have 2 slots. So it's up to you. But I would definitely recommend at least 20 of them be strike squads for sure. Maybe 30. It's up to you. It also ultimately depends on what you want to run the Terminators as. If you want to run them as Paladins, you're going to be taking up elite slots, but you could still take Purifiers. Purgation Squad I wouldn't really take. Dread Knights to me are so much better than a Purgation Squad. And the Dreadnought, you said you have a Dreadnought? Yes, so Dreadnought is in the elite slot. So you have 1 elite plus 2 Terminators. So you either have 2 troops or 2 more elites. So yeah, I would take the majority of them as strike squads for sure. They're the core of your army. They're points efficient compared to the other squads, and they're troops, right? You need troop choices. Troops are very important in this game still, because if you run up against an army of people using the normal force organization chart, you need troops to deny their troops the objectives. So maybe a squad, like if you want to take, I'd take maybe, I'm personally, if I was that list, I would take either 20, not 25, I would take 20 or 30 of them as strike squads. I like squads of 10 for strike squads. And then the rest, if you have 10 or 15 remainder, you can put them into jump infantry or I still like purifiers as my secondary. I would take purifiers. And with psi cannons or silencers, they're both a solid option depending on what you're facing. So, yeah. And definitely take... Oh, but you also have Razorbacks. Oh, you're throwing me curveballs. I like this. You could take 2 5-man squads of Purifiers in Razorbacks. That would be pretty nasty. You know? Or just 2 5-man strike squads in Razorbacks. And then the Land Raider, make it a dedicated transport for one of the Grey Knight Terminators. And a Dread Knight. Dread Knights are the best heavy option, bar none. They are the best. Mm-hmm. How would you equip them? So equipping them, let's go through quickly with equipping them. I would take at least 1 hammer per squad. At least 1 hammer per squad, because you need hitting power, and you need it. You need a strength 8 weapon in that squad. And then choose, it's up to you to choose between silencers or psi cannons. I don't think the flamers are the best option for strike squads. So that's about it. So at least 1 hammer per squad. And then it's up to you if you want to take swords or halberds. Halberds are pretty nice still, because you put a halberd, but they're a little bit expensive when you stack them on strike squads. So it's up to you what you want to take on that. But hammers for sure. At least 1 hammer per squad. I think you take... I think you take 2 hammers per squad. If it's a squad of 10. I don't know. Could be wrong on that one. But at least a hammer per squad, and then choose your favorite heavy weapon of choice. And then if you have points, you can go halberds, because that strength 5 is nice. It is really nice in close combat, especially when stacked with hammer hand. It is really nasty, because you have strength 7 Terminators. Or strike squads, it'd be pretty cool. So, yeah, hope that answers your questions. I would take the majority of them, strike squads for sure, because they are the foundation of your army. And... it's also nice, because if you want to take multiple force orgs, you can take, you know, breaking those up into 2 strike squads alone gives you the minimum troops for 2 force organizations. That's pretty hilarious. Undead Pank says, what you said about the competitive guard, I will respectfully disagree, as I think they have more firepower than Eldar and Tau, but lack the speed to beat Tau, spamming cheap heavy weapon teams and keeping well out of reach. Using orders to buff these guys, Aegis Defense Line is a must-have. I've played well over 100 games with the new Guard Codex, and I have not lost any of them to Tau or Eldar, but they are difficult to master. Oh, and Pask is just pure awesome. Love you, Jay. Thank you. Thank you very much for your comment, Undead Pank, and thank you for trying. As I said, I didn't want to discourage a new person from starting Eldar or Tau. I'm just saying certain armies, again, with the really cheese lists, yeah. But thank you very much for your comment, and obviously adding to the Astra Militarum discussion. Kurt Miller says, Jay, an interesting article that I saw this week regarding advertisements on YouTube. In an article that compared piracy to using ad blocker on the browser to avoid seeing ads, which stops people creating content from getting money from you. What's your opinion on this? I'm okay with it. If you want to use ad blocker to not watch ads, I'm okay with it. It's up to you. I'm not going to be... you know, don't watch my videos if you don't want to watch ads. It's up to you. That's what I like about YouTube. The Warp, obviously, the Warp is a different thing, because there's no ads in the Warp. You subscribe to watch the Warp. My Warp content is my premium YouTube channel. Check it out if you want. So there are no ads, period, on that channel, but people have to subscribe to watch the videos. But if you want to watch my YouTube channel without, like Mini Wargamer J, without ads, and you use an ad blocker, so be it. I just thank you for watching my videos. I thank you for, you know, subscribing to my channel, adding comments in the comment section down below, and that's what it's about. You know, I'm not trying to get rich. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm just trying to make a living off my videos. If you don't want to watch ads, go ahead. Most people just click the thing as well, so it's okay. I'm not going to be mad at you. Also, I use AdBlock, but I'm a Warp subscriber, and I pay more than what you charge if given the choice. No problem. As I said, if you subscribe at an early time and you're paying a low amount, awesome sauce. As I said, thank you very much for subscribing to the Warp and supporting me, and that's all that matters. As I said, if people want to use ad blockers, go ahead. Hi, my country is only piracy if you obtain revenue from selling what you've... Sorry. Compared piracy to using ad blocker. Oh, sorry. Maybe I'm missing your comment. In the article, they compared piracy using ad blocker. I disagree. Very much disagree. Because piracy is stealing my content, right? There's a difference between taking my content and making money off it and just not giving me revenue for my content. They're both negative towards the creator, but I really don't have any moral objection to someone using ad blocker. To someone stealing my content and trying to make money off it, that's a different story. As we discussed with the whole GW versus recast models. Sorry, that's what your comment was about. What was my opinion on this, Kurt Miller? So I'm not opposed to ad blocker, but I don't think it's piracy. I think piracy is more stealing. Yar. And then Thurgood says, in my country, it is only piracy if you obtain revenue from selling what you have not created. That's what I mean. It is not a pirate the one who watches it for personal enjoyment. The pirate is the guy who has a revenue and doesn't own the content. It is like when you go to the toilet during the ads, or we do zapping when the ad comes. Exactly. Nobody can label us criminals because of that. No, I agree. Oh my goodness, and you left another giant essay. They're good. You are awesome with comments. Again, I can't read that all, but please don't support the abuse of 0.00001% of the population. That's all the resources. If you included the 99 that has no resources or bargaining power at all, don't call yourself criminal because you are not doing what the big companies want. Wow, very deep. So I did read your entire message, Thurgood. I just can't read it out loud because it would take me too long. I'm a very slow reader. Kurt Miller. I thought the globally accepted definition of piracy is someone that downloads or watches something that doesn't give back to the creators. It depends. Is piracy the act of downloading it, or is piracy the act of making it available? It depends on where you're at, or certain people define the pirates. Because, yeah, it's... I don't know if downloading it is the piracy itself or supporting the piracy, because the piracy is making it available. This is a very interesting debate. I like this. Very good comment. This is a good debate on this thing. And also, Jay, any chances you'd be interested in setting up a Patreon in case there's more people like me out there who would support you more? Thank you very much, Kurt Miller. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know, because I just don't want to put myself out there in too many mediums that I just don't know how to reward the Patreon people, because the Warp, they get their own exclusive content. And I could do the same thing that like Awesome Paint Job did with Patreon. I really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you people who are trying to support me. I don't know, because the Warp is one vessel, but it's not available in all countries. So I'm going to have to think very heavily about it. And then there's a debate between Thurgood and Kurt Miller. It's, yes. So Thurgood and Kurt Miller, thank you very much for your comments. But they're having a very in-depth debate, and I can't read all the comments because it's a lot of comments. But that's a really good point about ad blockers. But as I said, if you use an ad blocker, I have absolutely no hard feelings towards you. I appreciate you watching my content, and if you don't want to watch ads, so be it. That's it. I don't in any way compare you to piracy. I don't. No. I think you're just, it's just like someone who DVRs the TV and then skips through the commercials. Christopher Tucker says, hey Jay, what do you think is going to be put into the Lords of War slot for the Necrons? My guess is Emotech the Stormlord. I ask as they seem to have fairly similar special characters and none stand out. I'd say Emotech. Emotech because Trazen just doesn't fit consistently with the rules. I don't know. It's a good, because obviously with Orks it was Goskel Thraka. With the Space Wolves it was obviously Logan Grimnar, and it's obviously going to be Mephiston for the Blood Angels. In my opinion, it's going to be Lord Galdor Drago. For the Grey Knights. I think Emotech the Stormlord is my guess, because he has the most special rules, and we'll see. I think it'll be him. In fact, when I do play them, I don't bother with specials and use a Destroyer Lord. Yeah, the Lords, seriously. To me, the diamonds in the Codex, obviously other than flyer spam, are the Lords. A Lord fully kitted out is unstoppable. They are insane. You can Mind Shackle Scarabs, and they just run around the field killing everything. The Lords are insane. So, very much, and they cost less. Very good point, Christopher Tucker. Empyrean Pursuit says, hey Jay, what do you think about the Salamander Vulcan Legion of the Damned combo? I haven't given it a lot of thought, to be honest. Let's read your comment. The Forge Father makes all Melta weapons in his detachment master-crafted. You can take 3 units of 5 Legion of the Damned with Meltas, multi-Melta, and Combi Meltas in each squad. They reroll deep strikes, scatter, ignore cover, and have a 3+ invul. With master-crafted, it's 9 Meltas rerolling the hit, ignoring cover in your opponent's face. Vehicles. My only question, which again I'm not familiar with this combination. Do Legion of the Damned count as Salamander detachment? If that's the case, this combination is insane, and it's amazing that that's a great combination. If they don't count, the rule doesn't apply. So that's a very wow. If you are correct, now people leave comments in the comment section down below. I could be wrong about this. If they are part of the, do Legion of the Damned count as the primary detachment, and not? That would be insane. But the question is, do they count? And that's the question that leads to the. But if that's the case, wow. You just blew my brain, Imperial Pursuit. Empyrean Pursuit. Cosmic Soybean says, hey Jay, I recently bought Imperial Defense Network, the entire kit, very cool, for my board I'm making. Excellent. Should I keep some pieces of it and use them as personal fortifications for my Dark Eldar? Sure. Why not? I'm pretty torn about it, since the DE are only around 24-inch range for the shooting. That's the problem. And the main firepower would be from my Venoms and my 4 Splinter Cannons per Venom, including the 2 cannons and the Trueborns riding in back. Also, how does this kit work fortification-wise? Do I play a flat amount of points? Do I pay a flat amount and take any amount of trenches? Or is there a point value for each piece? And if there is, if I take 3 trenches attached to a bunker, will that count as 4 fortifications or just 1? Ooh, good question. There is definitely a limit. Pretty positive there's a limit per structure. Like an Aegis defense line has a very set amount. This small pieces, this large pieces, I'm pretty sure counts towards the. Where's my rulebook? I don't have my rulebook with me. Oh, I'm not prepared for this comment. Yes, I believe they have defined sizes, but the question is, does a person? Yeah, regarding your first question. The problem is with Dark Eldar is they're very maneuverable, and maneuverability is their strength, obviously. But when it comes to defense, like fortifications, most Dark Eldar armies don't work well with fortifications, as you mentioned, because they're good from close range, and they're very maneuverable. Their maneuverability is one of their keys. And other than bouncing things to and from between your fortifications, fortifications are stationary, so you can't move them with your Dark Eldar. So other than like turn 1, if your opponent goes first, you can hide behind them and stay safe. But they're very maneuverable, and it kind of, yeah, you just can't move your items with you. So I don't know. It's up to you, but I personally don't see Dark Eldar with many fortifications, because Dark Eldar's strength is their speed and maneuverability, which fortifications lack. How does it work? Do I pay a flat amount of points and can take any amount of trenches? I think there's a fixed number of points per amount of trench. I could be wrong. But leave a comment in the comment section down below if you disagree. And if I take 3 trenches attached to a bunker, does that count as 4 fortifications or just 1? That I don't know, honestly. I don't want to... I don't bring fortifications very often, and I think... My guess is it would count as 4, but it could count as 1. I think it would count as 4. But people who are more experienced in this particular area than I am, I'm willing to admit that I don't want to give faulty advice in this particular topic. So please answer this question if you guys can. Because that's the great thing about these Q&Js. You guys help me J some Qs sometimes. You're my fellow Jers in these Qs. Holy moly, there are a lot of comments this week. This is awesome. Forsaken Nun, CZ, says, "Hi Jay, I watched whole trilogy marathon Lord of the Rings yesterday with my friends. And when I saw Last March of Ents, I just thought, damn, I must do something like this with my Yandon Eldar. That's awesome. And so here's what I came up with. 3 units of 8 Wraith Guard with Wraith Cannons. Good start. 2 units of 8 Wraith Blades with Ghost Swords. 1 unit of 8 Wraith Blades with Axes. Oh, this is so scary. And a Shadow Council, 5 Spirit Seers. Yeah, you bring them to make them troops. 1 HQ slot, and 1 Spirit Seer on the other slot, putting 1 the other in some Psychic support. 3 would use Runes of Battle with Yen and Primaris Power, and gives all Wraith units within 12 inches battle force. And Furious Charge plus rest of them would pick up Telepathy. Would you think this list costs roughly 1950 points? Cool. What do you think of this list? It's pretty scary. I don't think personally that it would be the most effective army out there, but it could be very intimidating sight to behold, plus awesome narrative. What do you think? Yes, I think that's the thing. Like you're not bringing a lot of bodies, so if your opponent has an answer to them, you're in trouble. But there's a lot of toughness 8 out there, and high toughness guys that are really scary. So if your opponent has an answer, it's almost like a rock, paper, scissors situation. If your opponent has an answer for them, you might be in trouble based on the small amount of bodies you brought. But most armies wouldn't have an answer to that unless you knew specifically what you're up against, and this would rip apart a lot of things. Yeah, this would be very intimidating to me. Thurgood says, I like this list a lot. Really like the detail of the Axe Wraith Guard to protect the Warlord. Yeah, it's very cool. It's a really expensive one to buy, though. If you ever play that list, I would like to see a bat rep. And if you make a 25-point game, you can fill in 2 Wraith Lords with Bright Lances and a Wraith Knight with heavy Wraith Cannons. Total epicness. Exactly. Wraith is very insane. So, and then Forsaken says, agreed. As of now, I have 20 Wraith Guard, 3 Lords, and 1 Knight. But now I can make this list. I'm definitely getting more Guard to make reality. Yeah, I think you're going to be, you know, very competitive. I think that's a good scary list. Very scary. I love the theme, you know, especially make it Entish. That'd be kind of cool, like wood themed. That'd be kind of cool. But it's Yandon, so that's cool. So good stuff there. I think the list is going to be competitive. Providing you just don't run up against the perfect rock to your scissors, you're in good shape. Black Tom says, warning, very wordy. Might not want to read aloud the entire post. Okay, no problem. Yeah, no problem. I will have to answer this some other time because it's a very long post. But I will. I'll send you a quick email, Black Tom, in the near future, either today or tomorrow, about your post. Yes. Wow. Yeah, it's a pretty long post. Yeah, I'll just send it a quick email or a quick message via YouTube. And Black Tom also says, I would like to make a Blood Axe based Orc army and use my Imperial Guard, so Astra Militarum, as allies. Besides Storm Boys, Commandos, a large unit of boys, what would you recommend? What Imperial Guard and Astra Militarum forces would you recommend? Ogrins, as an allied detachment to support my Orks. I'm not a big vehicle fan, so assume everything is on foot with no tanks or Morkanauts. Thanks, you're the best. No problem. So for Orcs, obviously Commandos, Storm Boys, large unit of boys, no vehicles. You pretty much nailed it. Ludas. If you're not taking any vehicles or Morkanauts, I would take Ludas. They have some great firepower, and they combined with Astra Militarum would be a great combination because they can hide behind the, they can hide near them and just be a great long distance support choice. If you're not running vehicles, you're going to be a little slower. So some support would be great. Ludas would be a great choice. Free Buddhas would be hilarious. Not free Buddhas. Flash Kits. Flash Kits would kind of be a fun choice for your theme army. I know that Pirates, not, they're not military themed, but they'd be kind of a good choice for your list. I'm just going to grab the codex here and look through it quickly. What else? Let me think to myself. Yeah, what would be a really good combination list? To me, Ogrins are the connector, because back in 2nd edition when I started playing, back in 2nd edition, Ogrins were available for both Imperial Guard and Orks, and you could play them in both. So they'd be kind of a good themed connector piece, would be the Ogrins between the two. Mech guns would actually be a great choice. Mech guns in the back being your support pieces would be great too, because again, you just have tons of firepower and they would work really well based on the firepower range, the amount of firepower and the range of the Astra Militarum. So I think that mech guns would be a great choice, like a Zap gun or a Lava. Yeah, they'd be a great choice. Not the Bubble Busta. I'm still not a big fan of the Bubble Busta. Flash Kits would be good. Ludas would be a great choice for the heavy support. Once again, because they match really well with the range of the Astra Militarum. Knobs are always a solid choice. If you're going on foot, knobs with a Pain Boy and a custom force-fielded mech would get them across the table, and it'll also provide some invul saves for your Orc boys that are around them, or the commanders are obviously going to start in reserves. And Storm Boys, if you want to take Zagstruck, you can. I really like a Power Fist knob, personally. That's it. And so for what Imperial Guard forces do you recommend as allied detachment for my Orcs? You said you don't like vehicles. So is that true as well for the Imperial Guard? Because, sorry, if it's the Imperial Guard as well, not a lot of tanks, and you got to take a lot of... yeah, Ogrins would be hilarious. They're not the most competitive, but for theme lists, they work really well with the Orcs. Ogrins or Bulgrins. Bulgrins would be pretty cool, too. And Bulgrins would be the good, screeners for your guys. And then... what other things would be really cool combined with Orcs? You have to take troops. Veterans. I'd take veterans. They have the survivability. Or, they're more survival than the base troops. And veterans. So for the Imperial Guard side. But for me, yeah, the connecting piece would definitely be Ogrins and Bulgrins. So I hope that answers... Sorry, I don't mean to minimize your comment, but that to me would be the ones to go. So for Orcs, I would take knobs. And you can always... there's some great kits out there to... there's actually great head swapping kits that they have the military look to them. And... if you want pieces that would work really well with the threat range of Imperial Guard, I would take either mech guns or Ludas. And knobs, yeah, that's a great choice. If you don't want to go vehicles, it's the way to go. And definitely a custom force-fielded, a custom force field will help your guys, because if you're going on foot, you definitely need something to keep them alive. Grand ADM Thrawn says, could you make a showcase of your Grey Knight army? Yes, I should. I'm working on my Grey Knight army. I'm working on a few armies right now, but I really just want to finish one of my armies and finish all the models and then showcase them and then do some Tactica. That's my goal, and I'm cutting down my availability at my other job, so I'm really hoping that's a catalyst to getting all the stuff I want done. Because there aren't just enough hours in the day. Lubar says, hey Jay, what psychic discipline would you use for a librarian, master level 3 and a 500-point Grey Knight build? Just the Sanctum powers. The Grey Knight powers. Those are the ones. Because a level 3 librarian, right, with no 4 powers, they automatically know the Primaris power, which is banishment, who cares. But to me, the Grey Knight powers are great. Hammerhand, solid. To me, the one I love is the Vortex of Doom one. You know, that one alone is hilarious. So if you can get that one off, it just goes around the battlefield absorbing everything. And it's a fun one. So I would actually just take the normal Sanctum powers, the Demonology Sanctum powers for the Grey Knights at Master Level 3. And take all of the powers in the same one, so you get the Primaris for free. As I said, Hammerhand is great. Cleansing Flame is good in situations. You got, what are the other ones? The Vortex of Doom one, solid choice. My favorite one actually, which has been really handy, which I've been trying out, and I'm looking at various lists, is the Teleportation Psychic Power. And this one would give your group a lot more, maneuverability, that you can just instantly jump off the board and then re-deep strike in another location. So if you're late in the game and you need to move around the board quickly, it really does help a lot. The Silent King says, "Hey Jay, just want to ask about the Grey Knights and their psychic powers. I haven't seen the new codex, but from what I understand, they don't have their own psychic powers anymore." They do. It's Demonology Sanctum. But people could hypothetically use it. What do you think about that? From the lore, I understand that they have archives of psychic powers no one else should have. Well, they do kind of. They have the Demonology powers. Which, I could be wrong. Can anybody else take the Demonology powers? It's okay. But I think the Demonology powers, Sanctum powers, are a good fit for them. I really do. Barrett Musselman says, "Rumors are saying Dark Eldar next." That's what I see. I see Dark Eldar or Necrons. Because we have 2 Imperial forces in a row, 2 humans. It has to be Xenos. It has to be Xenos. Plus, there are only a few books left. 5th edition or less, we have Dark Eldar and Necrons. And eventually, maybe Sisters of Battle. They kind of got a 6th edition update. But, that's it. They have to be next. Dark Eldar and Necrons. So Dark Eldar next? I hope so. Probably soon. Probably next month or the month after. S. Joe Rose says, "They did have Chaos Supplement like rules in the old 3rd edition Chaos Space Marines Codex, and you have the Dark Apostle model now. Just let me know. To let you know." Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that comment. Jack Fru Brown says, "Hey Jay, what video editor do you use?" I bounce between 2 different ones. If I'm working on my laptop, I use Sony Vegas Pro. It's cheap and really user-friendly, and if I'm not doing a lot of stuff on it, I can just, like, this vlog will probably be rendered on Sony Vegas Pro. Most of my other videos, like my Miniature Painting 101 series and my battle reports, are rendered using Adobe Premiere Pro. But the downside with Premiere Pro is if you're running a really good computer, Premiere Pro can only have 1 Premiere Pro window open at a time, so you can only render 1 video at a time versus versus Sony Vegas Pro, which you can have multiple windows open at the same time, so you can go to bed at night and just render all your videos at the same time. That's what Mini Wargame does. They just go home at the end of the night and render all their videos at the exact same time. It takes like 15 hours, but you have 15 hours, and you just render them all at the same time. So, yeah. A very good question. Thank you very much. C. Wood says, "Thanks for the info, Jay. That really helps." Here we go. Yes. And would love to play you at Warhammer World when you come to the pond, over the pond. Yes. I would love to play you. Brain Dead Games. "Hi, Jay. Just wondering what I should get to start a Space Wolves and Grey Knights combined force." Honestly, right now, if you're starting, that Grey Knights battle box that they were offering is a great deal. I really like it. Comes with what you need. And the Space Wolves force, actually. The forces are, to me, they're expensive, but you do save money if you're doing a single purchase. But obviously, if you're playing Space Wolves, if you can get your hands on the Stormclaw set, that would have been amazing. Because it came with a Lord and some base troops. Great choice. To me, it was just the Space Wolves half was a great price for that box set. And for Grey Knights, let me just double check if it's still available. Grey Knights. Yeah, it's still available. The Nemesis Vanguard is actually a really good starter set for a Grey Knights army because you get 5 Terminators, which you can use as Paladins or troops, you get like 15 guys. So I take a squad of 10 strike force and then a squad of 5, probably strike squad as well, and a land raider and a dread knight, right? So the land raider is a solid choice in 7th edition 40k. Terminators in a land raider, great choice as a dedicated transport. Dread Knights are by far the greatest thing in the Codex right now, other than Lord Keldor Drago, who's amazing. I've been trying him out and having so much fun with him. And then you get strike squad members for your troops. It's a great starter set, and it's a great price if relative to buying them all individually. And then for Space Wolves, I would look at obviously you gotta buy some troops. So you gotta go with the troop kit. You know, that's a good place to start. Choose which HQ. I like just the generic lords. Thunderwolf Cavalry are amazing, and they would be a great answer. They'd be a great combined choice with Grey Knights, because they will just go quick and tie up your opponent quickly and provide a quick threat while your Grey Knights drop in around them. And then turn 2, you just go. And that's about it. Choose. You gotta choose which HQs you want. I really like Wolf Priests. The Priests as cheap HQ slots. They're cheap, and they take up your because you need more HQs. Yeah, and if you can by any chance get Sanctus the Stormclaw sets, or anybody else who's selling, like there's tons of people still selling Stormclaw on eBay, so that'd be a great starting choice for the Space Wolves. Yes. Timonius says, Jay, your dog is adorable. Thank you. I really appreciate it. For those who don't know, I'm going to make a video on this eventually. I adopted another dog about a week ago. He's a miniature Dachshund, and he's adorable, and his name is Spock. And the best part about it was that was his name when I got him. He was already named Spock, and he is so cool, and he is just awesome. Rubik's good too, but I like Spock as well. Orks is the biggest, says, for you people who don't know, an attack squid counts as a boss pull as well. I didn't know that. Interesting. F34S9UIJ says, hey Jay, I've been getting my butt kicked playing the new Ork Codex from a range of different army types. I've been trying to stay optimistic about it, but nothing I try seems to work out very well. The whole Codex seems to be a bit built to try to get you into assault quickly, but falls apart as soon as you take any firepower from your opponent. Even close combat, the units seem to melt and do nothing, and challenges ensure knobs and even war bosses lose out and can't fight, or they die, with no invul saves of any kind. I always enjoyed playing the Orks and had about 50-50 record with my old decks, but since the recent Codex have come out, I have yet to win or really compete in the game. Do you have any advice, or is this Codex just plain bad? At this point, I just won my first game. Excellent! Using battle wagons full of tank bustas and a Big Mac with mega armor and custom force field, and a few squads of Defcoptas and Mingrot squads. Rocket wagons were great against both Necrons and Space Wolves. Well, congratulations, first of all, on your first win with the new Codex. I've won a few. My Walker list has actually done pretty well against certain lists because it is not a normal list, and vehicles have gotten more survivable in 7th edition. The key to Orks right now is you've got to get them across the board. They are designed for close combat, as you mentioned, and to do that, you need custom force fields. You need them. You need custom force fields. They are the only saving grace to the Orks right now, is custom force fields giving an invul, so even against the Tau who ignore cover, they don't ignore an invul save, and that's great. Invuls are great, so custom force fields are the way to go. Other than that, you gotta, the thing is with close combat is really fickle because, as you said, Orks no longer have any access to any invuls in close combat. Cyborg Body is a 6-up Feel No Pain, which is practically useless. I don't bring Cyborg Bodies ever. Feel No Pain would be handy and will help keep them alive in close combat, so a Pain Boy would be key in those circumstances because very rarely are you going against, strength 8 weapons in close combat. It's mostly against normal Space Marines. They're mostly strength 4 and stuff, maybe strength 6. You don't have to worry really much about strength 8+, unless you're assaulting, like a Wraith Knight or a monstrous creature. So a Pain Boy and custom force fields. The other option, which is, I'm looking at a lot of competitive lists, is taking several, is to spam min squads of Grots and bring all the HQs you need. So a bunch of custom force field mechs and some pain boys and war bosses, and bring like 6 min squads of Grots to hold on your objectives, and then fill the rest with like knobs and battle wagons. Seems to be the more competitive lists have been kind of attached to that. Yeah. You know, Ludas are still a viable heavy support choice, I find, other than the list I bring, because I need all my heavy support choices. But Ludas will help. If you're bringing, it depends on, I don't see many heavy support choices in your comments, but Ludas will help by adding some long distance firepower to help support your troops as they run into close combat. But I agree, it is a hard codex. It is not... The problem is with the codex, which I mentioned this, I'm going to be a little more positive because they're not as bad as I first said I thought they were. But the problem is with the codex is Orks are not very compatible with some lists can be, but Orks in general are not extremely compatible with the edition. The edition is mostly about shooting, and Orks are now designed primarily for assault. And even assault, they're really a glass hammer because after round 1, Ork boys are only strength 3. So they're hitting on 4s most of the time, only on 5s most of the time. And they have no real save. Most things will go through their armor and they have no invul. So feel no pain is key. Give them feel no pain with a pain boy and give them a custom force field to help get them across the field, or a vehicle like a battle wagon, which will help ensure, because vehicles are more survivable. I still really love my can wall. It's you know, it's just my personal preference. I've always loved the can wall, but Morkanauts are hilariously fun. And they are, as long as they don't get popped turn 1, they can do some serious damage to your opponent. And the walker lists are also fun too. 12 cans, you know, pretty survivable. So I hope that answers your question. I can't believe we've already passed an hour. You guys are just giving me so many comments. I love it. Gamer Chap says, "Hi Jay." Hi Gamer Chap. I have a question. In a previous video, you mentioned the best viable loadout for a Grey Knight Dreadnought was still 2 twin-linked autocannons. That's correct. I still think it is. Some people are arguing Las Cannon Power Fist, but I still think 2 twin-linked autocannons, strength 7, it's no longer strength 8, but strength 7 will definitely help you pop those lighter vehicles and just other things in general. So how would you go about making that variant? Well, there's 2 options. You order the parts from Forge World, which I think is your next comment, as the GW Dreadnought doesn't have those options. Was it Forge World or something else? Yeah, it's Forge World. Forge World makes them. A couple other companies make them. I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's a couple other companies. I forget their names, but if you type in, like, if you just type in on Google autocannons for Dreadnoughts, there's a couple other companies that make similar products. They don't call them autocannons, obviously, but they do make them, and there have been a couple good tutorials online painting them. The other option is people take the autocannons from, there's some Imperial Guard kits that you can buy on eBay, that you can buy the kits and easily incorporate the autocannons from those kits into a Dreadnought. And there's some good conversion tutorials out there. If you go on Google and just type in conversions for them as well, you'll find them. But essentially you have to make them or order the Forge World parts. I finally sucked it up, and while I was at Gen Con, I ordered 2 sets of twin-linked autocannons for my Dreadnoughts. And I didn't even know the Codex was coming out at that point. I was risky, but they'll be arriving hopefully any day, and I'll be putting them on my Dreadnoughts. Big thank you from England, UK. No problem. And plus, if you're in the UK, Forge World is relatively cheap there, so you should be okay if you're in the UK. Forge World, it's the best price that you'll ever get is Forge World in the UK. So, Dan Burns says, "Hi Jay. Thank you so much for J and Q's. Loved the first Face Off." Thank you so much. And for those of you wondering what Face Off is, check out the Warp. Face Off is pretty cool, and it will be coming out for free eventually. But basically, I've created a series where we take 2 really nasty close combat things, put them in the same space, let them fight it out. Yeah. Daniel Cross says, "Jay, I believe that discouraging that man's wife from playing Eldar is unfair to her." Yes, and as I said, I agree with you, Daniel Cross. I'm not saying... My comment wasn't completely to discourage her. I was just saying that the specific question was asking for a fair matchup, and I know that Eldar in a general list can still be pretty competitive against Astra Militarum, but be a little bit more balanced. But yeah, In 40k, the best army to play is whatever army stands out to you the most, which is why I play Orks. Thank you. I play Orks too. May not be the most competitive, but I love Orks. Also, Imperial Guard are highly competitive. Army and Eldar would not be an unfair matchup. Well, it depends on what Eldar list. Overall, Eldar are a fun army to play against, unless the Eldar player spams Wave Serpents and Wraith Knights, or Seer Star. That's what I was saying. Exactly. As long as it's not, you know, I was saying in general lists. And then JS says, I agree completely that if an Eldar is calling to her, he should encourage that choice. I agree. You know, I'm sorry, I didn't. Well, these Q and J's, I just talk, and sometimes I say things that people are, I don't know, like may come off wrong or may come off as not what I was saying. But yeah, but I was right though. In general, if any strong Eldar list will disassemble Astra Militarum, depending on, you know, the two lists, but if Eldar really speak to her, it's not. I'm not one to discourage her, right? I agree. And Andrew McCormick says, hi Jay, firstly, I really enjoyed your Showdown Deathmatch duel video. Thank you very much. That's what he's referring to is the new series called Face Off. You did it on the Warp. Future request, Yark versus Goskull. You got it. I'll do it. The Avatar of Cain versus the Great Unclean One. Oh, that would be good. Abaddon versus Calgar. Azrael versus Grimnar. Interesting one. Uriel versus High Tyrant. Now for the question. What are the top 5 units in 40k in your opinion? I think Eldar jet bikes have to be in the top 3, along with Longfangs, Imperial Guard, Special Weapon Squads. I would not put Longfangs anymore. Longfangs got really price adjusted to make them very close to Devastator squads. They're not that special anymore. Special Weapons teams from Imperial Guard would be my top 5. Let's think about this out loud. 5 units. So you're specifically talking about units. Okay, so units, not monsters, creatures, or anything else. Let's talk about units. Because to me, most of my top 5 would be monsters, creatures. Like Wraith Knight or the Tau Riptide. But let's start over. Units. Okay, top 5 units. I completely agree. Eldar jet bikes. Hilariously nasty, very maneuverable, rending, awesome. Eldar jet bikes are a great top 5. Imperial Guard special weapon teams. That's a great choice too. And I'm not talking. I don't agree with Longfangs for squads. I would say Thunderwolf Cavalry. Thunderwolf Cavalry squads. Units are insanely hard hitting, very scary. To me, the scariest thing in the Codex is Thunderwolf Cavalry. What's with my top 5? For units, I would say Centurions. Centurions are really nasty. They are nasty in the against the right list. They are extremely nasty. As far as Space Marine squads go, I think Centurions can be the scariest thing on the board and have to be dealt with very quickly because, especially against Tyranids, right? They just destroy monsters, creatures, and they wreck tanks. You know, they can go through land raiders like no one's business, and they can wreck monsters, creatures like no one's business. So Centurions, or I would bikes in general. Like, let me think about this. It's a good question. You got me thinking here. Got me thinking. So I definitely say Thunderwolf Cavalry, Eldar jet bikes, Centurions. Tau, what are they called? Oh man, goodness, I'm just losing my mind right now. The ones with marker lights, right? Why are they scary? Because they have the ability to remove cover saves and to boost their friends. That to me is crazy. Tau, it's gonna bug me, so I'm gonna go find them, what their names are. Tau. They're called... I can't remember the name. Pathfinders. Tau Pathfinders, to me, are arguably one of the scariest units in the game because they have so much synergy with everyone around them, and they can remove cover. They can remove cover which is so powerful in 7th edition, and they buff their friends. So for the Tau, it would have to be Pathfinders. They're an auto-include in most competitive lists. Space Marines, I'd argue, again, I'd say either Centurions or White Scar Bikers. Bikers in general that can carry grav weapons are insane because they don't care about the salvo rule, right? They have no penalty on their salvo-ness, and they'll just drive up turn 1. They'll scout, as long as you give them the scout, move up, annihilate your opponent. And the same thing can be done with Ravenwing. Ravenwing with plasma spam are extremely scary as well because they can scout up turn 1. If they go first, move up turn 1 and just obliterate you. So, yeah, I'd say Eldar jet bikes. Here's my list of just competitive units. Eldar jet bikes, for sure. Thunderwolf Cavalry. This is no particular order. I'd have to say Ravenwing / White Scar Bikers. I would say Imperial Guard Special Guard teams are special weapons teams are amazing, and I would have to say Tau Pathfinders. Tau Pathfinders, to me, for their points costs, they do so much. Yes. So leave your comments in the comment section down below what you feel about that one. And finally, I don't know your name. I can't say your name, so I'm just going to say your comment because I'm sorry, I couldn't pronounce your name. Jay, what do you think about playing Warhammer 40k without any allies? I do it all the time. You don't necessarily need allies. Now, many of the most competitive lists are allied. But I'm a Tyranid player, right? Tyranids in 6th edition, you didn't get any allies. And Orks didn't ally with many people. So, and Grey Knights were strong enough on their own. The only Grey Knights that I would probably maybe start allying with Inquisition. And I do have to ally with Assassins now. But I play most of my lists just pure my lists. I know many competitive lists add allies, and I do really like allies in a sense that it adds another layer or dimension to list building and to competitive play. So I like it too, but I do play without allies all the time. So that's it. This video is like an hour and 15 minutes long. That's insane. I love it. So thank you so much for leaving all your questions, and I'm hopefully able to get at all of them. A couple of the longer questions, I'm sorry I didn't go in depth about my answers. I will try to respond to them in the next couple days, maybe just a personal message, and address them then because I just couldn't address it in this video. It would be too long. But thank you so much for leaving your questions, and I had an awesome time jaying them. And yes, so thank you so much for leaving your questions. Leave more questions in the comment section down below, and I will keep answering them because I love doing these Q&Js. It is so much fun. Stay tuned for more videos. If you want, go check out the Warp. Till next time, this is Jay saying, happy queuing, and I'll have fun, Jay.